Percent of my battery.
No, I think it's
Highly old art trainer there.
so I mean, it says every 4 years.
2.5
Nice pictures of the family, Doug.
I mean,
Thanks.
that's what I'm gathering.
Good looking family.
What's with the telephone number?
Where's your family?
Receivers.
On here?
And coaches.
On the,
If you need to call them, Doug.
Straight up the middle.
oh, okay.
They usually
That's
can you
not to
create
get
a.
on the Zoom.
No.
They don't-
Well, that one is.
Why do they need a telephone?
Oh, I didn't put my name on it.
6 people meet in the middle.
Why do they need that telephone?
Don't you make
So it's, if you want to call in, it's the Zoom, it's, so Zoom gives you like,
2 options.
multiple different phone numbers.
Got it.
I'm going to quadrennial. Do you know what that means?
It'll be interesting.
Like 400 years. Quadrennial is 400.
Yes, but I was trying to figure out what it would be if it's every 4 years. It's quadrennial. Quadrennial.
Okay.
We have to make a correction.
Chief, ready to go?
Yep.
You're good. I'm going to get started here. We're all here.
That's
I officially call this first meeting for the month of November of the Mount Vernon City Council to order. And the first item on the agenda is approving the agenda. And I've got 2 items I think that we need to address. First of all, canceling G2 or postponing G2.
Yep.
And Lori has a wording change in G1.
And it's just to the report, not the actual resolution, so it's every 4 years is when we update.
For G1, page 11.
Yeah.
So with those 2 changes, are we ready to approve the agenda?
I would move approval of the agenda with the changes noted.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Deb. Move and second to approve the adjusted agenda. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Before we get into open communications, I need to mention that Chris, who is going to be part of today, is now calling off for the whole day, so he's not going to be here tonight. We're taking care of the meeting. This part of the meeting is when you wish to address the City Council on subjects pertaining to today's meeting agenda. Please wait until that item on the agenda is reached. Otherwise, if you wish to speak to City Council at this time, now is when we have open communications. Anyone here for that? I think we'll move on to the consent agenda with 2 items. Minutes and a liquor license.
I'd move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Paul.
Second.
And, move and second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Resolutions for approval. Support financial commitment from the Main Street Program in the City of Mount Vernon. Do you want to explain anything or add anything?
I don't have anything to add, this is just, we update this every 4 years, so this is just the agreement between the city, the CDG, and the Iowa Economic Development Authority. I don't have anything to it.
Any questions, staff, about this one?
I think this is some of the best money we spent, frankly.
Yes.
So with that, I would move approval of Resolution 11-6-2023A, approving the support and financial commitment for the Main Street program from the City of Vernon.
I will second.
Scott? Okay. Moving second to move forward with Resolution 11-6-2023A, and that I think I need a voice, roll call vote.
Turler?
Marcia?
Yes.
West? Yes. Engel?
Yes.
Herman? Yes. Rose?
Yes.
The resolution passes. G2 we've been passed on to the next meeting. G3, approval of the final plat of Bowers and Old Lincoln Highway Northwest.
Yeah, so-
Subdividing some property with 3 kids.
Yeah, so G3 and G4 are kind of together. There's no change in the use of these. It's just separating them legally, so different family members can take ownership. So therefore, there's no preliminary plat required.
Do we act on these individually or together? I see that together. Then I would move to approve Resolution 11-6-2023C and 11.
Actually, they have to be separate.
Oh, I apologize. Then let me stop it at 2023C.
Thank
My bad.
you, Craig.
And I will second Resolution 11-6-2023C.
Any questions about that? It's existing property, it's nothing there.
Just legally splitting the
Yeah.
Right.
If we're ready for that, roll call vote, please, Marcia.
Engel,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Turler,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Thank you, that resolution passes. Moving on to G4, similar resolution on the Bowers property.
I would move approval of, the items not coming up now.
11/6/2023D.
Yes, thank you.
And I'll second that.
It's moved and seconded to move forward with resolution 11/6/2023D. We're ready to vote on that. Marcia?
Rose,
Yes.
Engel,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Turler.
Yes.
That resolution passes. Moving on to J, consideration of claims list. Marcia sent out an adjusted one this afternoon. Thank you, Marcia. Any questions of staff about that?
If no questions, I'll move to approve the claims list as presented.
Scott?
I'll second.
Thank you, Deb. Move and seconded to move forward and approve the claims list as presented. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to J2, discussion and consideration of rear blade purchase for Public Works tractor. Council action is needed. Eldon is here, and anything to explain or questions for Eldon here?
So, Eldon, you mentioned a couple of uses. I'm assuming you'll also be able to use it in other locations?
Yes, and we've been kind of wanting to do this ever since we took over Business 30, primarily for the shoulder work. We don't have a maintainer. We don't have something that's wide enough to carry that shoulder. We've done it previously with skid loaders, taken a couple skid loaders out there and done it, but it'd be a lot nicer if we could move down and back and not have so much action going on a busy. And it does a little bit neater, nicer job in one pass. So we could also use it in the Ball Diamonds, Bryant Road. We currently, occasionally if the county's in town, we ask them to, and they do help us out. They'll run their maintainer down Bryant Road and kind of clean that up for us. But we're at the mercy of their timing anyway, so.
Sure.
But yeah, there's, discontinued shoulder work is my main priority, but it can definitely be used in other areas.
It'll last you forever, right?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Because you're not using it that much, so
Yeah.
it should last for a long time.
yeah. And it's something that's not gonna take a lot of abuse, you know, it's not,
If Lisbon wants to borrow it, you charge him rent.
yeah. Well, and to bring that up, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but there's a spot just past the Lisbon, Mount Vernon line there where the asphalt, they haven't maintained that shoulder and the asphalt just keeps crumbling away at the side of the road, and that's what I wanna eliminate on our end anyway.
Local vendor for 7620.26.
Unless there's further questions or concerns, I would move approval of the P&K Midwest quote for the 9-foot rear blade in the amount of $7,620.26.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a second?
Second.
Paul, okay. Any further to add? Any questions of Eldon? Otherwise, ready to vote on that motion. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now you've got a building to store it in over the winter. So, life is good. Police station, shelving and cabin purchases for police station.
Thank you, Mayor. This is additional cabinetry for, once they got the construction done and the HVAC systems ripped out, adding the cabinetry into the evidence room that will match the other cabinets that we have in the training room and stuff like that. So we needed to wait till they got the walls and everything in place, figure out where everything was landing, got the furnaces out of the one area where some of this cabinetry will be placed. And so this will be the same contractor that has done as part of the project, but this is additional into the evidence room, evidence processing area, and then the viewing room between the two interview rooms.
And also will probably last as long as the life of the building, so.
Yes, very much.
Boy, one-time fee.
$10,950. Any questions? Are we ready to move forward with the motion?
I move approval for the purchase of the shelving cabinet tree for the police station in the amount of $10,950.
Paul? Second?
I'll
I'll second.
Oh, Debbie.
Deb gets a second? Sorry.
Yeah.
Moved and seconded to move forward with the purchase of the shelving for the police station as presented. Ready to vote on that? All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Question in this area, was there a punch list tour that happened? Was that the final punch list tour?
So we had a punch list tour last Monday,
Mhm.
followed by a discussion with a certain subcontractor. We will be walking through again Wednesday. They've been back in, they've corrected their deficiencies that we've been telling them over and over we were not going to approve. So they've sent a different crew down, corrected the deficiencies, and I think we'll be in much better shape Wednesday. Still some things going on. You'll notice if you go on the north side of the building, like the siding on the garage, they're waiting, the contractors are waiting on a piece for that, and they should be finishing that yet, hopefully this week, because it needs to be painted, and we're running out of good paint days, especially outdoor paint days.
It's all
So-
painting, basically.
Yep. So, meeting again Wednesday.
Okay. Not the end of the year yet, so there's still time. Thanks for that update. Moving on to discussion items. I asked Chris for some agenda time just to communicate with the whole council about a variety of topics, and in no particular order, I'll get started here. At the League of Cities convention in Cedar Rapids a month or so ago, spent some time at a booth at Habitat for Humanity, and I've worked with them in Cedar Rapids in the past, and asked about their interest in Mount Vernon, and there is an interest by them in Mount Vernon, probably in infill lots. They don't have a lot of infill lots available. They usually operate on a system where they will build a house, but the city or somebody needs to buy the lot or subsidize the lot to some extent. $5 grand, 10 grand, they've got different examples for that. So as we talk about possibly LMI housing or infill projects, think about Habitat for Humanity. That's somebody that has not worked with us before, so keep that in mind, I guess.
Excuse me, in the field, end
Infill.
Infill.
If there's an empty lot on the northwest side that somebody's just mowing and bought for speculation 2 decades ago, and
Okay, thank you. I hadn't heard that.
that's where they usually fit it. They're not going to put one in, Skoglund or any place like that. But there's, I think, a market, and there'd be some people that would be interested in it if we want to step forward and provide the land for it. Leslie Katrina Gardner sponsored with some money for the Mount Vernon Community Foundation about 10 months ago, and that foundation exists. But and I established a board for that foundation, and we have a Mount Vernon Today and a Mount Vernon Tomorrow fund in the Greater Cedar Rapids Community Foundations. But I've never been able to get contact time with them to set up our founding board. That is now happening on November 21st. So every month or so through the summer, I give Cedar Rapids a call and say, we're ready. Let's get some direction, make sure we're doing everything right. So that is happening finally, because I asked board members, 4 other citizens from the community, to be on this council, this foundation board, and we haven't had a meeting, haven't done anything. So I'm thinking, what a great deal this is. So but now they're going to have to go to work for a couple of hours for this meeting.
Tom, remind us who's on that board?
Pete Ryan from Cornell, Taryn Coons, who was the former foundation director with the Mount Vernon Community School Foundation, myself, Colette Mikulski, something like that.
You got it right.
Okay. And I'm missing one. Oh, Romberg, Mrs. Romberg. So that's 5 people.
Amanda?
Amanda, thank you, yes, Amanda Romberg. But they've all agreed to serve, and they all agreed to be at this meeting November 21st. So we'll have our establishment, because we haven't done anything yet, and we don't, I'm not sure what I gave them a list of questions, 10 months ago about what do we need to establish, so that will happen now. Historic preservation, a couple things going on with historic preservation. One of them is getting glass negatives. I think Deb's talked about this before, from Florida. So if anybody's room in their car and they're doing a trip to Florida, wants to bring back some glass negatives from Pensacola, let the historic preservation know. So, you're interested?
You're gonna help pay for my gas?
Well, yes, they will. I think there was some discussion about that very thing.
Suzette commissioned this meeting this past Saturday.
We're not going until a year from now, so we can probably go on a little sooner than that.
It's historic pres, they don't,
They're in no rush.
No, I mean,
Therein lies the
it's,
danger.
1 year, 100 years, what are we doing?
The truth, the Dornan couple is very old and they have cancer, and that's why they
Oh.
contacted me out of the blue. There's a very legitimate, they emailed Mayor Mumford in Iowa, and
Wow.
that's how the process started. And Suzette has talked to them, and the process is going. And yes, there was discussion about paying for it. Kind of again in historic preservation, but this is the newspaper archives. I remember when I got on council 8 years ago, or whatever, an issue that some citizens had was incomplete archives at Cornell, based largely on the newspapers from the past, getting them at one point microfiche and now online and now in the cloud. So it's gone a long ways, a lot of steps. My first question to Grace Chamberlain, who is our employee at the library, who does the community library stuff out of the Cornell Library, is anybody that even important? Do people ask about it? And she says she gets 2 people a week that'll ask about something from that era. And I think Nate has also told me that the people will come to the Sun office asking for information about their grandparents that lived here in the 30s or whatever. And I think there was a third source, but there is an interest in that from a lot of people that come through town. And the Driscoll, Marcia Driscoll is the one that catches me about every year or two about it. And she's a 5th generation, and has got grandkids here. So the 7 generations of her family that have lived in town. So she did a lot of research on this. Grace did a lot of research. I got everybody from from historic preservation. I got Nathan to get research with Word of Communication to see what did they not want to put online yet. And they had a restriction. They wanted to wait 5 years, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
So we can't put on this week's paper. They want to be able to sell papers for a while. So, but there's at least a guideline established. Grace has a connection with a firm that does this type of archiving to the cloud and stores it for us and everything else. And Marcia has given a 4-page list of papers missing from this year, this year, this year, this year, and there's been 6 or 8 newspapers in Mount Vernon. She went back to 1856. Mary Evans, who is very big in historic preservation, checked out 3 other resources to see if she had any, could fill in any of the gaps in the missing papers. She checked Lynn County Historic Preservation. She checked with the Lisbon Library, and she checked with the Lisbon Historic Preservation, and to see if they had papers that they could fill in for us. They didn't, so we didn't gain anything, but we did find out the answer to the question of, is there anybody else that's out there? So right now I'm waiting for Grace to get back to us with a price of X number of dollars to put this archived, and then it'll be established forever, for good, minus the current 5 years. I have no idea what that price is, so I've asked Chris, do we have any, of course nothing's budgeted for this, but we may be coming to council at some point, then it may be the next fiscal year, to say, for, I think 2,500 is the spending authority he gave me. I'm not sure it'll fall within 2,500, but we don't know until we get that price. So it is being worked on, newspaper archives. 2 weeks ago, I sat in 4 of the 5 community superintendent interviews. 2 representatives from Rain Associates, as part of the superintendent search process, had general all calls to community members different times of the day to see what people were looking for in a superintendent and what characteristics they're looking for, traits and things like that, and what's important. And I was there to see who was attending, and how many people were attending, and the tone of the questions, and that was all very positive, but one thing I wanted to make sure I brought up at each one of those was the need for childcare in our community, so I got that registered in. We'll talk about childcare solutions here in a minute. But one thing that came out of almost all of these, the 5 sessions, was need for more entry-level housing. And that didn't have anything to do with the superintendent, that was being squirrely at me. While we're doing things, I think we've got a plan for some over 55 housing come next summer.
Right.
What are we doing for the new faculty, staff member at our school district, or in Cornell, for that matter? Because entry level, we don't have a good inventory in that segment. So that was what I got out of those sessions, and they're right.
Well, as I recall, Tom, when we did our long-range plan, our 2-3 year plan, that also came up then, so it's on our radar, certainly.
Yeah, it's no secret.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like, particularly Skogman, but towards the end of their phases, there's a series of mixed use, condos, townhouses, some multi-residential housing that's part of it. So, right, so I mean, today, that does us no good, but it is, it's already part of the housing stuff that we can look forward to.
Yeah, and so I'll also remind you the parting words from the Housing Commission, which has not been reconstituted again. Their parting paper to the council identified that as a continuing need amongst other things. So make sure that you keep active that parting words from the Housing Commission as we move forward as well.
There will be a street extension on Candlestick North, but it's only going to be about a block this fall, if I remember correctly. It'd be ideal if they went all the way to the soccer field, railroad track area, so that they could start construction on that end of the development. But Scott's exactly right, that a later phase after the single-family homes is some multi-use condos or whatever, farther north there.
That was also written into the bypass plan, multi-use.
Yeah.
Correct. And so keeping the focus and keeping the push on the commitments that are made and the organization, the way that these developments come to play is probably critically important to making some of that stuff happen. We walked into the Skogman development knowing that it would be one of the last things that they did. And that's gotten us to where we are today, still wondering if we're ever going to get there.
It's probably no secret that it's not moving as fast as I think it was originally intended to be, or we originally hoped it to be, but yes, we do that need. Reference a little bit Child Care Solutions Group. There was a push in September, October to get matching funds to supplement either hiring bonuses, or wages in some form to people that are involved with daycare between Lisbon and Mount Vernon. And at first it was a $250,000 gift. Then it went to, we got to match it locally. And during the month of October, a match, 33,000, a little over 33, was raised locally. First webinar with the Department of Human Services said that it's a $250,000 gift. 10 communities were in the hopper for that. 2 days later, there was another webinar about you have to match locally. And then just a couple days ago, the state said that they're double the match, so it's now 2 for 1. But the period's already closed. October's done. So basically, that 33 will generate almost $100,000 with the state match. That'll help existing daycare providers through Kids Club and OACC, basically. But the Child Care Solutions Group is continuing to work on this process, and there will be continued meetings about that as we move on. But that's the latest fix with that. And it's a core group of people involved with the process, including League of Women Voters have been engaged. And probably the last thing is to mention that Lori has set up 6 interviews with candidates, architectural candidates for the Main Street project. Craig and I caught one today, and there's a couple tomorrow, and then a few on Wednesday. So that process is going. It's a pretty aggressive schedule. If you want engagement with businesses and community members in December. So it's an aggressive schedule, and the interviews are going. It's too soon to make any general statements, but we're looking at those 6 for the next calendar year. It'll be big. Did I miss anything? Just a lot of things going on in a positive way, and reinforcement things that we know we need to improve on.
Thank you, Tom.
That is what I had. Any other council, committee reports, city administrator's report? Chris sent his notes with us.
I think I just remember elections are tomorrow, so I'll be busy up here all day.
Tom and I met with Cornell College and the community school district today, and just to provide ongoing communication to keep the relationship with the 3 largest employers in Mount Vernon together. And the only thing I would add with that is that Dr. Batenhorst invited Taryn Kuntz and Amy, I can't think of Roberts, to listen a little bit more about what's been happening in the League of Women Voters with Child Care Solutions, and his own thinking on how the community school district can help be a partner in this as well. So.
To the point where there may be a joint council school board meeting on that issue, once both new councils and new school board are seated. So,
On the topic of school, I went to the School Improvement Advisory Council meeting a few weeks ago. Yeah, and they talked about academic, behavioral, and cultural goals at each of the 3 levels of schools. One of the things that was interesting is, and it may not be surprising to some of you, is that they are really trying to deal with chronic absenteeism at the middle school and the high school and addressing those numbers. But I was so impressed with their plans, and in general, all the data that they are using. Michelle Boyden, who is the secondary level curriculum planner, I think is her title, something like that, gave a really good presentation about how they evaluate the test results that come in and how they address those. So it was a good meeting.
anything else from council?
I'll point out in Chris's report that voting takes place tomorrow. There is public measure D, I want to say, on there, which just remind is not a new tax. It's been in place for 10 years, and it's funding for the fire station, fire department. So just a heads up on that.
7 a.m. to 8 p.m., right?
I believe so.
Anything else in public? Anything else otherwise? We will adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much.
All right.
Well.